In today's Russian newspapers, you'll find articles about Orthodox Easter, lots on the cosmos and the 65th anniversary of Yuri Gagarin becoming the first man in space. What you won't find are details of yesterday's raid by masked security officers on the offices of Novaya Gazeta, an independent newspaper that is still publishing online. Another big story yesterday only gets mentioned in brief. For example, by Nezavisima Gazeta, the Nobel Prize-winning human rights group Memorial has been declared an extremist movement by Russia's Supreme Court. That means that participation in, or attempts to get people participating in, its activities will be a criminal offence. A big deal. But the paper gives equal column space to 56% of Russians think that Cosmonautics Day, celebrated in Russia on April the 12th, should be an official holiday and a day off. The paper's top story is the economy. In the first quarter of 2026, Russian GDP fell by 1.5% year on year. The latest data from the Russian State Statistics Service appears to rule out stabilisation or economic growth. Commercial transportation and construction led the decline, but for Russia, forecasts of a deeper and more protracted recession in the coming years have already been announced. Negative trends were noted in 20 out of 24 types of manufacturing industries. Kommersant reports that in the first quarter, the federal budget deficit rose to 1.9% of GDP. That's 4.6 trillion rubles. From Russia's economic difficulties to NATO's problems. This cartoon in Izvestia reflects how the Russian authorities are loving President Trump's public criticism of the NATO alliance and hoping perhaps the US will leave NATO. Here we see NATO chief Mark Rutte apparently after a meeting at the White House, saying perhaps to the US president, "You could have expressed your desire to leave in a more civilized manner." No prizes for guessing who Russia is backing in the upcoming Hungarian election. The Russian government paper Rossiyska Gazeta declares Viktor Orban is the brave outsider among a kettle of hawks who are demanding a ban on Russia and more sanctions against it. Moskovsky Komsomolets reports that from the 1st of September, Russian kindergartens will introduce good-hearted games designed to teach spiritual and moral values amongst preschoolers through play. These games will introduce children to the traditional values of Russian society, develop social and emotional skills, understanding emotions, communication skills, the ability to negotiate, respect others, sympathise and resolve conflicts peacefully. Respecting others and the ability to resolve conflicts peacefully are noble aims, but how do they square with the direction Russia has taken? Finally, to the joke section of Komsomolskaya Pravda. Specially for Cosmonautics Day, Russian roads have been decorated with lunar craters. And look at this. Now, you really have to work hard with this one. Presenting a new modern alphabet for the current realities. It starts off like the Russian alphabet, A, B, V, etc. But if you look very closely, it spells out «Жесть, когда же это все закончится?» which means, crazy, when will this all be over?